Mad for War is a 190-page hardback book from the League of Augsburg stable. The League of Augsburg are basically one man, Barry Hilton. Barry has published a wide variety of wargaming rules over the years, but over the last half a dozen he's focused his attention on the 17th century in particular, and with Mad for War he turns his attention to warfare on the high seas between about 1630 and 1710. We begin our flip through of the book by turning to the comprehensive and well presented table of contents. When done well, like it is here, the contents generally negates the need for an index. It's worth lingering briefly on scales and dice types to draw attention to the fact that 1. Mad for War is designed for games using either 1 1200th or 1 2400th scale models, and it requires a wide range of dice to play: D6s, D8s, D10s, D12s and directional dice. Other gameplay tools required include markers, angle templates, tape measures or measuring sticks. You can navigate your way around the book by checking the handy section titles on the side of the page, very useful when flicking through looking for particular rules. The rules proper begin with the turn sequence and initiative. Initiative is of course a crucial factor in any wargame. In MFW it is dictated by two things: a commander's ability and how many ships a player has to windward. An introduction to the concept of command and orders comes next, in which the author explains his design concepts behind integrating these historical facets into the game. In ships, we get down to the nitty-gritty of how ships are classified in the game based on their type, speed, build and experience. This information is summarised in a table on page 8. However, it is easy to miss the all-important info on how the experience of your crew affects the signature dice that are rolled when shooting. It's a little hidden in the text. Sailing is all about a ship's movement, and in this section we learn that it is divided into two categories: strategic movement, used when vessels are more than 12 inches away from an enemy, and tactical movement, when they are not, and some form of combat is imminent. You won't be surprised to discover that wind plays a crucial role in movement. Over the next 2 pages we learn how to broad reach, close haul, tack and more. Players will need to familiarise themselves with these basics of sailing ship manoeuvring, but the rules are stripped back enough not to obsess over the details and try to focus on the dynamic gameplay. As with many naval games, the turning template comes into full effect when ships want to change direction on the tabletop. A ship's category dictates how often it can do this, and its turning circle during a turn. Oared vessels and river sailing also covered in this section. The author points out that the wind, sea and weather changes that are detailed next should be considered optional rules, as they add a level of complexity off-putting to some gamers. If these rules are included, they will naturally affect a player's actions when moving his ship. Grounding, collisions, ramming, repairs and towing are all covered by the rules over the next 4 pages. Whether desirable or not, these actions will only take place when a skill check is passed or failed. A player's chance of success or failure is based on the skill of their ship's crew. We now come to the real good stuff: shooting. This section of the rules begins with an introduction to the naval gunnery of the period before getting into the rules mechanics of ranges and hitting. The default score required to hit is 6, but remember that MFW uses a range of different dice based on the experience of a player's crew. So lubbers roll D6 to hit, able seamen a D8 and salts a D10. The type of dice rolled can be modified by various factors covered in the shooting modifiers table. The score required can be adjusted when a master gunner is present or raking fire is used. These various factors are covered in more detail over the next few pages. Still within the shooting section, reloading and ammunition are covered next. Before we come to the fun effects of catastrophic damage, which is sustained when an excessive amount of punishment is taken in a single turn. There is everything from rudder jammed to magazine explodes here. If a ship's movement ends within half an inch of an enemy vessel and its player passes a skill check, a boarding action can take place, which is resolved by consulting the boarding table. In the game of Mad for War we played at WRHQ, boarding actions and multiple boarding actions were a common occurrence. There's more information to the nuances of these rules over the next couple of pages. We take a break from the rule mechanics here as the author presents a useful example of a couple of turns of gameplay complete with comic book commentary. The Mad for War roster sheets are introduced next. Each vessel in the game has a roster sheet which is used as a memory jogger for various attributes, but mainly as a way of recording strength points lost by a ship during the game. As a ship is reduced in strength, it will drop through 4 levels of damage, from sixpenny, superficial, to mortal, extreme damage. Rules for fire ships, dubbed the most terrifying weapons encountered in 17th century sea battles, are covered over the next 2 pages. Before the rules for morale are explained. A failed morale check will result in a ship striking its colours or heading for home. Line of battle was a naval tactic, or rather formation, introduced by Robert Blake in the 1650s, in which, as the name suggests, squadrons or whole fleets of ships lined up in combat to present an overwhelmingly powerful wall of fire. In this section of the book, rules for employing a line of battle are covered. Not to be outdone by its landlubbing wargaming contemporaries, MFW includes rules for including characters in your games, from admirals and master gunners to carpenters and preachers. The individual characters on board a ship can influence the game in various fun ways. More light relief from rules reading comes in the form of 6 pages of excellent photographs showing various historically accurate battles and vessels. By this point in the book, page 56 to be exact, we have reached the end of the rules. What comes next are sections on the naval history of the period, tactics, privateers and pirates, and types of ships. A glossary of terms arms you with the vocabulary required to avast, jury-rig, whipstaff and more. Before we return to more history with an extensive portfolio of various notable commanders of the period, from various nations and including privateers. This colourful section of the book gives us a rundown of the organisation of the various warring 17th century nations, along with their naval flags. An exceptionally useful gallery of standards that could be represented on your models. Much of the preceding historical information is translated into sample MFW fleets over the next 10 pages, with all the stats players need to bring Dutch, English, Caribbean privateer, Spanish and more fleets to bear in the game. Hoist the Bloody Flag is an example game based on the early fighting of the First Anglo-Dutch War, using 2 of the sample fleets seen in the previous chapter. These 14 pages are not only packed with inspiring photos, but also provide a really useful rules checker when it comes to confirming players are correct in their assumptions about how manoeuvring, shooting, etc. works. The penultimate section of the book is 5 appendices, beginning with additional rules for applying points values to your ships, followed by some comprehensive advanced rules for oared vessels, i.e. galleys. Appendix 3 is a collection of clear and concise maps which show the major maritime powers of the period and the sites of historical naval battles. This is a great way of picking a target for your Mad for War scenarios, and shows that although the temptation is to focus on the Anglo-Dutch naval battles, as we can see from the Flawfront Battles map, the period can offer gaming from Ecuador to Malaya. For the penultimate appendices, author Barry Hilton hands over to self-confessed landlubber and the book's graphic designer, Clarence Harrison, who shares some of his 1/1/200 scale ship painting tips. This is a comprehensive novice's guide to the brushwork required for getting your toys on the table with a minimum of fuss, but still with attractive end results. The appendices concludes with a selected biography. But that's not quite it for the book, as we are then treated to another 12 pages of inspiring photos showing scenes from various history-based scenarios. We then have a couple of pages of copyable ship roster sheets, templates and even ship counters, so players can try the game without using model ships. The final few pages of the book show the breadth of products available from the League of Auersperg stable, including PDF scenarios and 1/1200 metal models suitable for Mad for War. What a great rulebook this is! Clear rules, lots of historical context, exceptional photos, examples of play, sample army lists, optional rules and a painting guide to boot. These 180 plus pages offer a template to any other games designer lucky enough to have the talent and budget of Mr. Barry Hilton. The game itself is highly entertaining to play. Manoeuvring is straightforward, offering players plenty of time to focus their attention on the cut and thrust of blazing broadsides and bloody boarding actions. This video has been brought to you by WI Prime, Wargames Illustrated Magazine's online members club. View more videos or find out more about WI Prime by following these links.